Hi, everybody. Welcome back to In the Light with me, Angie Hillman. Some of you must know me as Miss Hillman. And today I have one of my very best friends in the entire world on the podcast, Miss Kelly Eddy, who's been a teacher at Churchill High School for how long, Kelly?
Since 1997. So that's many years.
Remember the 90s?
Oh, they were good. I loved the 90s.
You have big hair.
I had very short hair. If you Google Pat Benatar, that was pretty much my hairstyle.
Oh, that is the jam in the 90s. I had very big, like, bird's nest hair in the front.
Yes, we called that the satellite dish where I came from.
Yes. Did you have shoulder pads? Were you wearing shoulder pads at the time?
I did, but in the early 90s, I was wearing the flannel.
Oh, yeah. That was really in.
I enjoyed the grunge era.
Oh, my God, yes. Well, Miss Eddy has been the Livonia Public Schools Teacher of the Year in 2011 and the Michigan History Teacher of the Year in 2012. She teaches AP. They call it APUSH, U.S. History. And, how are you doing with this whole zombie apocalypse situation right now, Miss Eddy?
I feel a little lost. I'm not going to lie. I miss my kids. I miss teaching history. We're going to miss the best parts, which is the 20th century.
Yes.
So I'm a little lost, but, I'm hanging out with my best boy, Charlie. He's my dog. And that helps a lot.
I got to tell you, my, soul sister, Sophie Ann, my little rescue dog from Puerto Rico, who, by the way, fun fact, Miss Eddy named Sophie.
That is true.
That is true. You did name her Sophie. I added the Ann with an E, but yes, and she has really helped me too. I live alone, and it's been really nice to take her for some walks and, cuddle and hang out with her a little bit. But it does get kind of lonely around here, I got to admit.
It does.
But having the dogs around, I think, is a good thing.
Also, having me to FaceTime 4 or 5 times a day is pretty good too.
Listen, we've never FaceTime more in our lives than right now.
I don't think we ever FaceTimed before in our lives.
And now I just FaceTime you whenever. It used to be that I was a little more like, hey, Cal, can you FaceTime? And now I'm just like, I just hit the FaceTime button.
Yep.
And whatever we're doing at the time, we just answer.
It's true.
That's
what are we doing at this time?
At this time, nothing. So this is a good time to FaceTime.
Correct.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about your health journey because what an inspiration you have been, Miss Kelly Eddy. You have lost, as of yesterday, 140 pounds.
Pretty darn close. Yes.
That's an entire teenager.
Yes.
I mean, I know when you were around, 115, 110 or something like that, I said, you have lost an entire Courtney Vickers, which is one of our students. And it's a full sophomore.
Yeah. I mean, or maybe 2 8th graders.
Or 2 8th graders. Now, how are you doing this?
I am eating little meals all day long. So I eat 6 times a day. 5 of them are really little meals like a power bar or a protein shake. And then I eat one really healthy, larger meal that is vegetables and lean protein. And I exercise a little. I take Charlie for walks. But mostly it's about, not eating a lot of sugar, not eating a lot of carbs. But I'm trying to do it in the healthiest way possible because I've been on crash diets before. Those are not good.
Yeah.
I've tried lots of different things, and this just seems to be the thing that's working for me.
I think it's marvelous. And I do know that you've been on tons of walks. I mean, you just do not miss your walks, even when it's icy.
It's true. I wear spikes on my shoes when it's icy.
Yes. And you've been really sticking to it. And I think that's great. And also, as a byproduct, Charlie has also gotten much healthier.
This is true. Charlie had an undiagnosed thyroid issue. I didn't even know dogs could do that. And we got him some medication, and Charlie has probably lost about 20 pounds.
Phenomenal. I mean, he looks like a puppy, like when you first got him.
He acts like a puppy.
When we first got him, he was very underweight.
When we first got him, he weighed 11 pounds.
Yes. I remember how he was just emaciated.
Yeah. Now he weighs about 60.
Wow. He looks phenomenal. Like a whole different animal.
Yes. And he's much happier.
Well, that's very good. I got to say.
But we have to whisper that word that you were saying that begins with a W and ends in a K.
Sorry. I didn't
because
mean to
I'm
say,
very excited.
I didn't mean to say WALK and say the word. I'm very sorry
Correct.
about this. Now, what inspired you to take this journey, Miss Eddy?
Well, my dad got really ill in the summertime, and he's never been a terribly healthy person. And when he went to the hospital, he was diagnosed with a weak and failing heart. And he was very, very overweight. And that definitely was the biggest problem. He was diabetic because of his weight. He had COPD, which is a lung and heart disease. And I saw him in the hospital, and I realized that that was the choice I was going to be making for myself as well. So he inspired me to get healthy. And he did just pass away recently, but I know that he would be really proud that I'm sticking with the program and, not letting all of this stress from, whether it was losing him or this coronavirus craziness to get me off track.
Absolutely. And, we've talked because we're friends and we've talked about the fact that this is kind of the gift he gave you.
It is. Yep.
Your new and improved journey into better health.
And, I am in such better health. I had almost high blood pressure. My blood pressure is now well below what would be considered safe. It's in the, average range. My resting heart rate is like super low for somebody, that still has a lot of weight to lose. So yeah, I can run up and down stairs now. I don't get winded as easily. It's truly been a gift.
Absolutely. And everyone, I know every single person who knows you is just absolutely thrilled with this because we want you around for a good long time.
Yeah, I plan on sticking around for a while. There are many more APUSH kids to teach.
Thank God. Now, speaking of your APUSH kids, because we're going to put this on, out on the Twitters, the link. What is your message to them right now in this? And I got to say, I know this is in the light, and we're supposed to be talking about things that bring us in the light, but this is a very scary time for kids, for teenagers.
It is. I would tell my APUSH kids right now that they need to spend their time worrying about their own mental health and physical health. Like go for walks, get outside, soak in some sunshine. The school stuff, I know people are stressed about it, but we're going to do the best we can. But really the most important thing is that you stay mentally focused and healthy. So we can't stress about the things we can't change because that's going to get us nothing but more stress. So let's focus on what we can control, which is going for a walk or, connecting with your friends on social media in a healthy way. So you're not feeling completely isolated, and reach out to the people who care about you. Reach out to your teachers if you need to.
I got to say too that, as far as history goes, why don't you connect with people in your life, your grandparents, let's say, and even though maybe you can't see them personally, use a little social media and talk to them about their history, because can't we learn from other people?
You would think. And I also think it would be a great idea for kids to keep a journal during this crazy time. I am blessed enough to have my grandmother's scrapbook from World War II. And it's awesome. I have cards that my grandpa wrote when he was overseas fighting in the war that he sent back to her. I have just her thoughts on what was going on in the world. And, it's a perspective you don't get in a history book. So write down how you're feeling and what you're going through. And someday your kids or grandkids will read that and go, wow, that was an insane time. I can't believe you were, quarantined and you couldn't go to school.
What a great idea. What a great idea to keep a journal about your thoughts, your feelings. It's a good way to let all those things out. And yes, that would be a really nice piece of history for your families.
Right. I mean, history's got to be more than, what's happening with politicians. It's what's happening with the everyday person.
Yeah, absolutely. So as a teacher, and you're, one of the very best that I've ever known, what are some fun things, if any educators are listening right now, what are some of the fun things that you do in your classroom to bring history alive for the kids?
Well, I do love a good escape room. Yeah. So we have some lock boxes and clues that the kids have to solve. And that seems to be a pretty popular activity. I'm also a big fan of the debates. Right before school got out, my students debated on whether or not we should join the League of Nations in World War II, or World War I, I should say. And those are always fun. It cracks me up how heated kids will get over things that happened so long ago when they're given a role and they have to fight for it.
Yeah.
So, I actually had the teacher next door come over to make sure that we weren't fighting because kids were so heated about their beliefs about particular topics.
Yes.
Those are two of my most favorite things.
Can
But
you talk about speed dating? Because I think any teachers who are listening to this would just love to grab onto that.
well, speed dating is something that I got from some other AP teachers that I am Facebook friends with. And you assign students a role. I like to do they're called the antebellum reformers. These were people who were trying to make America better in the 1800s. And there are so many of them that I assign each student a particular reformer. So some of them are abolitionists, some of them are women's rights advocates, some of them are, medical advocates, lots of different things. And then the kids research their person and they create a prop that goes with their person. And on the day of speed dating, they come in and we usually do it in the library, and I project a nice cozy fireplace and play romantic music, and I have flowers and, electric candles on the table. I go all out for speed dating.
Of course.
You've got to set the tone.
Yes.
So, and then the kids walk around and they meet each other, and they have 5 minutes to get to know the person and decide if they would be compatible as, friends or romantic interests.
So, and I know because a lot of my kids are in your AP class, that's one of their very favorite things to do.
It is so fun. It is so fun. And I'm really sad because I do a 20s speed dating, and I don't think we will be at school for that.
I know, it's so sad that things we're going to be missing,
I think I'm going to need them to set up a dating profile and do electronic speed dating.
Well, what a great idea that would be. See, this is why you're so good, because you can think outside the box to plan B.
You have to adapt.
Yeah, you have to be malleable in this whole teaching thing, right?
Correct.
Absolutely. Now, what would you say if any parents are listening in to what they can do for their kids in this time? Because we know them so well. We spend so much time with these kids, sometimes more time than even with their families at some points, And so what would you say, as a teacher, of some things that maybe parents can do while their kids are home to kind of help calm their nerves and connect?
I would say don't have the news on 24/7. It just causes stress. And it's, we live in a world where you have a 24-hour news cycle, but they harp on the same things over and over again. So, watch the news, get the headlines, and then turn it off, because your kids don't need to be bombarded with that. I also would say provide some structure. Our kids have really lost all of their structure at this point. They've lost their extracurriculars, they've lost their class schedule, they've lost built-in time to be with their friends. So provide some structure for them when it comes to, hey, you should be doing something online to keep up with your classes, or we're going to have family time right now, or maybe it's time for you to do some art or to go for a walk. But, provide some structure so that they stay healthy. It's hard for kids to not, get into a place where they're just watching TV or playing video games all day or scrolling on their phone all day.
Yeah, and I have to add to that, I think, and I would say this in any, not just because we're in this time, but one of the main things I always say to parents is listen to your kids. They
Absolutely.
only, these teenagers that we work with, I can't speak for the little ones because I don't have a connection to that, but the teenagers, they just want someone to listen to them and verify that they've been heard. And so I think in this time when there is so much, so many anxious thoughts and so many unknowns, that I think allowing them to say those things out loud is extremely important right now. And no matter how it comes out, whether it be in frustration and anger and, tears, however that comes out, to say to them, I hear you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's
encourage them if they don't feel comfortable talking to you, that it's okay to talk to someone else.
Yes. Yes. And I think, we deal with this, every single day where, kids want to talk about their feelings. And I know that that's especially in my, I teach the arts. So that's 100% of our stuff, is the feeling stuff. So I'm used to that. But some parents just aren't used to that. But I would say any parent who's listening, allow your kid to have their feelings. We say to feel their feels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to express that in any way they need to at this
Yeah,
time.
and be cognizant of the fact that, while this is very hard for adults, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. For most teenagers, they don't think that way. It's a day-to-day thing. And even though in their mind they know this will be over at some point, they're really thinking about what's been taken from them. And so they're allowed to be sad, and they're allowed to be angry, and they're allowed to be depressed, because they should be. A lot's been taken from them.
Yes, I would say that too. And put yourself in their shoes and think about
Yeah.
how we would have felt, back in, for me, it was the 80s. I know you're younger than me, but in the 80s, if this would have been for instance, my senior year, man, that would have been just devastating to me as a 17-year-old.
Absolutely. I just hope that this is over in time for us to let the seniors have all their activities.
I hope so too. We can just kind of hope for the best. And at this point, I think we just love on our dogs, Miss Eddy.
I think so too. And they are pretty good support animals.
They really are. I told Sophie that's her job right now.
Yeah.
I said, you are my emotional support dog, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, that's Charlie's job too, but he sleeps on the job a lot. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, I have seen him in several of our FaceTime calls, and he's in the exact same position on the couch.
He's there right now.
With his old man pillow.
Yes.
It's the same pillow, and he's in the same position every single time.
It's correct. He has eaten dinner and then went back up on the couch to fall asleep.
He's tired. Being an emotional support animal is very tiring.
And going on all these walks is very tiring.
It is, definitely. I mean, no doubt about it. Well, I got to say, for someone who, I know that at school, you're always telling the kids if they need a hug to come to my room, because I have the free hug sign. Never did I think my free hug sign was going to be at all controversial. But yeah, I'm going to have to think about that now when I go back. I might have to say free air hugs.
Correct. I am reevaluating my limited hug policy, though. This social distancing has made me miss, contact with human beings.
Now you're wanting the hugs.
I am. I'm wanting the hugs.
And you know who's there for you? Your girl. I'm here for you.
Oh,
I love a hug.
So send me an air hug right now.
I'm sending that air hug out. And I miss it, That's what I love the most is the hugging. I've always hugged, and it's stinky. So, well, when we get back, whether it's air hugs or real hugs, I will be there. You will be there to teach the children. And I cannot thank you enough for coming on the podcast, Miss Kelly Eddy.
Thanks for having me.
I'm proud of your health journey. I'm proud of you as a teacher. And there isn't a better friend in the entire world. And give love to Charlie for me.
I will, and I feel exactly the same about you.
All right, my friend. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to podcast number 2. And remember to stay in the light.